All right. Today is Saturday. It's an early morning stream, 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time. So, yeah, I'm still half asleep. I've got a busy day. I got a class this morning coming up with Shane and Hank, so it's not too late to jump on board. Go to harmonica123.com if you want to learn about that. But we're talking about practice sessions right now. This is going to be a fairly quick stream. Let's just jump right into it. I've got some notes here to share with you. First, I got to find them. Give me a minute to do that. While I'm stalling and doing that, I want to say thanks to everybody who has jumped on the membership. It's been so cool to connect with all of you in classes. And there will be some cool special things coming your way that I will 100% share with you as soon as I can. Not yet, though. I must have just closed it right before I started the stream somehow. But I've got some notes for you. Now, if you like these notes that I'm going to pull up, let me know. Maybe I'll put a link to them. How's that? I'll put a link. Close that. And you can go ahead and download it. It's just so you can come back to this video however you want to do it. Here are the notes. Let's make these a little bigger. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Productive and fun practice sessions, just something to think about today. It's going to be real quick coming at you. I've always worked by this model of dividing practice sessions into three categories. So I'm going to share them with you today and give you a couple quick tips and ideas of what you can do inside of these little columns. So the first one's technique, second one's theory and conceptual, and the last one is song studies. And by dividing your time and thinking about your sessions like this, it helps tremendously. Hey, Rajesh, thanks for being a member and thanks for joining the live stream. So think about these categories. If you're clueless and say, man, I just turn on tracks and jam and I'm really not productive, so I want to get more out of my sessions, this is a good way, one way to think about it. So technique, obviously you've got bending, tongue blocking, breath control, warble, vibratos, hand technique, and the list goes on and on. And I think if you're going to do like a 30-minute session, you could just break it up into 10, 10, and 10 with your columns here. And then try to focus on just one or two things in each column. One is better than two, even, to keep you focused. There's so many things. I've got a gazillion ideas in classes that cover all these topics, but practice your bending from different angles, different key harmonicas. Tongue blocking involves single notes, slaps, octaves and splits, flutters. Breath control, we can do some simple breathing exercises. We can work on riffs that include warbles, vibrato, and hand technique. And the list goes on and on. Now, theory and conceptual, really what I mean is scales, arpeggios, position work, dynamic range, anything outside of that technique. Target practice and ear training. Talked about scales a bunch. You can look up some great arpeggios to work with. Do position work often and thinking about any new and inclusive things that, or things that you want to begin including, I should say, in your position work that you're not doing. So if you're like, hey, I'm really interested in 12th, but I don't do anything, start with something very basic like the pentatonic scale in 12th position, for example. Dynamic range, getting loud, quiet, back to loud, back to quiet, changing up the volume, and do this in a very specific manner, like with a scale or a simple portion of a melody where you can really start to gauge whether it's effective or not, or a little short improvisation for 30 seconds that you're recording. I'll talk about recording in a minute. Target practice just means playing the repeating notes on your harmonica. And if you haven't been doing this, holy cow, is it helpful. Please start doing this. You just pick up a harmonica and so, or, and you're trying to play all these repeating notes. That's it. Let me just do this. Share with others. Anyone. So here's the link. I'll just give it to you now, perhaps. I'll give it to you at the end. I'll put it in the chat real quick, and then I'll put it in the comments section. How's that once the video's up? Song studies. breaking down solos and melodies. This is something I'm really into. Do a lot of classes around this. There's a million ways to think about it. You don't just have to start from the beginning of the song and go to the end. You could just break down the introduction. You can go be as strict as you want when you're working on this, but the stricter the better. And I think that you'll find that if you work on this, and later you'll hear in the tips that you need to write out everything you do. Find a method for tablature that works for you and begin using it. By writing it out, you'll retain much more. So before you work on breaking down solos and melodies, step one really is listening to these songs over and over before even picking up a harmonica, just getting it in your head. And these three columns have served me well. So tip number one, write out your own tablature, like I just said. It's a fast track for accuracy, retention. Journal about ideas, questions, players, and all the things that are related to your musical journey. Keep something where you're writing things down. I always did this, and it just made a huge difference. Tip number two, practice sessions should be short and frequent. In my experience, that's what has always worked best. But there's one exception. If you're really on a roll and in the zone, you've landed on something new and you're super into it and motivated, of course, you can extend to longer power sessions now and again. Start practice sessions with the thing that you love the most, but limit that time to maybe 5 minutes. Then go right to focusing on the weakest techniques and biggest challenges right away. Get those on the right away. Start with the things that you're most frustrated with. Don't put those at the end. Don't ignore those. Those are the things we need to improve. Tip number four, play with other musicians. Connect with other harmonica players on whether it's a phone call or a Zoom session. Discuss what you're doing. Be an accountability partner for one another, and maybe that can be done through a Facebook or other social media groups, like Cellist Blues Harp Tips on Facebook. Sharing your content, sharing a practice session, anything. These are really helpful. Good morning, Thomas. Tip number five, record all the time. That should have been tip number one. And honestly, it goes with all the columns. You need to be recording yourself. If you do these things on this list and focus on these things, in 2025, you are going to make progress. If you do only a few of these things, you'll make progress, but record all the time. Go back, review it, and then adjust accordingly. Adjust your practice sessions. Listen for what's working and not working. Number six, stay inspired. Motivation is always coming from the inspiration that you have. So I get it from the music I listen to. I'm always on the search for various genres, other instruments, not just harmonica, and I'm always motivated and focused on my music because of that. Last tip, have fun. Get feedback often. Join me in some classes to stay on track, like the one coming up this morning in 3 hours from now, Breath Rhythms. And that's what I got today. So have fun with your practice sessions, enjoy them, but make them productive. And by the way, a practice session is very valid even if it's only 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Those in between little short practice sessions are sometimes the most helpful. So don't avoid those either. If you have a crazy busy day, it's okay to do 2 5-minute practice sessions. That's better than an hour and a half or 2 hours once a week. I'd rather see somebody do tiny little segments 5 to 7 days a week. And that's what I got this morning. I hope you guys make it a great Saturday. I look forward to seeing some of you in class. If you're wondering what that is, just go to harmonica123.com and look on the homepage for class information today. Breath Rhythms, all about groove. It's going to be phenomenal. Guest artists Shane Sager and Hank Shreve are joining me. Hey, thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. Yes, Mike, I'm dedicated to my YouTube channel so far here. And if you are joining, the class email is about to go out here momentarily. So be on the lookout for that. It'll have the class link. And yeah, make it a wonderful day. I got to jump. I'll see you guys very soon.